This is Radio Free Jordan, the last stronghold of democracy in the government-controlled South Metro area. Broadcasting at 320.7 megahertz and brought to you by Citizens for Spare Change. Help us, Obi-Wan. You're our only hope.
Some of the questions related to how does the crematorium operate, how much noise is generated, is a furnace such as this considered industrial as opposed to being allowed within the neighborhood commercial or downtown zoning classification. Question the number of cremations that are expected to occur. There's some discussion about mercury emissions, not only by some of the residents but also by Mr. Cook, indicating that the University of Minnesota does have a product out there that's patented worldwide. However, the state of Minnesota does not require that to be used. Some individuals had concerns due to small children being in the neighborhood, daycares being nearby, questions about the air patterns and the possibility of emissions being held within the area. One individual brought up the concern with mercury being entered into the mill pond.
My name is Josh and I live at 108 Varner. I'm here tonight because you, the City Council, are going to make what could be the biggest health decision of my daughter's life. My wife is due with our first child in less than 4 weeks, and like any other parent would be, I was very worried for the safety of my family upon hearing they want to build a crematory next to my house. Being a bit uneducated in the subject, I started doing research on my own. I wanted to have some idea of what to expect and what to ask at the Planning Commission meeting. With my limited info and questions in hand, I went to the meeting with an open mind, hoping to be convinced that it was 100% safe and that I was just a new parent worrying too much. I came out of that meeting more worried than ever. Question after question went by unanswered. No facts presented. Actually, nothing presented at all. No building plans, no plans as to what the stack will look like, no decision on the kind or size of the oven, no conversations with the DNR, no information on possible side effects on Sand Creek or the mill pond, and no tests will be done to actually see what comes out of the stack now or in the future. And most importantly, no information on any toxins expected to be released, no information on the amount of toxins expected to be released, and no information on what are safe levels of exposure to said pollutants. Repeatedly, questions were answered by, "I am not a scientist," or "That's not my area of expertise." That's my point exactly. Why are we taking thoughts and guesses from people who admittedly know very little on the subject? Why don't we have any independent experts involved? Why haven't we taken the time to include the DNR? They spend thousands, if not millions of dollars a year fighting the very pollutants that this crematory will be adding to the environment. This project is literally only feet from Sand Creek, and no one has thought to ask what the DNR might have to say. Why haven't we taken time to talk to any doctors on the health impacts that a project like this would bring? I spoke with a pediatrician over the weekend that said mercury was very toxic and she would do anything in her power to keep fetuses, infants, and children from any exposure, even the smallest amount. It is appalling to me that the Planning Commission would move forward with something like this without seeking out any independent expert opinions. You're putting my child in danger, and the only information you're going on is from a manufacturer's brochure of an oven that they don't even know if they'll purchase. Myself, you, the council, the Planning Commission, and the funeral home operators themselves have no idea how toxic or harmful the emissions from that stack are going to be. Now, I know most of, if not all of you, have children, so I want to pose a question. Would you ever place your baby in a bathtub without checking how hot the water is? That is essentially what you're doing here, dropping my child into the bath without any idea if she will be burned or not. Moving forward on this project without seeking any independent information or expert opinion is frightening. I'm sure you've never been this negligent with your own children, and I'd hope you'd be the same with mine. Thank you.
In 2005, the EPA clearly stated that they don't want to look at these machines anymore because it's not worth looking at. The modern computerized cremation equipment runs so cleanly that the EPA, and I did submit this as well, a number of weeks ago, just stated that they're not going to look at this anymore. They took it off the list of things that they're going to monitor because there's nothing there.
And I did speak myself this morning to someone at the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, and while she said that crematoriums aren't regulated as such, she did say not yet. They are on their radar. Cremation can release significant quantities of mercury because of the mercury that is present as dental fillings, and cremation probably releases all of this mercury into the atmosphere. The MINPAC calculates that an average of 2.63 grams of mercury are emitted per cremation.
2008, and this was actually done by the Golden Gate University of Environmental Law, and they did a study on cremation. And one of the things they talked about is some of the studies where there is actually higher levels of mercury surrounding the sites of crematoriums. So the level is actually higher there.
Comment on mercury a little bit. I actually agree with pretty much everything that she said about mercury. I agree, it's a problem. It's not a local problem, it's a global problem. 30% of the mercury that comes, it's natural. 30% is natural, 30% comes from like China. It's the methyl mercury is what we can't eat. That's what's in fish. The mercury that comes out of our stack is the basic mercury, not methyl mercury, and it is a problem. Every single person that we're cremating is going to be cremated. It's not like we're coming up with new people to cremate. People are deciding to be cremated. They're cremated at Lakewood, where we're doing it now. The mercury is still going into our air here in Jordan. That's just the way it is, because there's nothing there.
The statistics show and evidence shows that it's safe.
Because there's nothing there.
I don't have an issue with it, and I think if you really investigated it with today's technology and regulations that they have out there, that it is no longer an issue.
Now, I can tell you very specifically that the only way that a pregnant woman can injure a fetus is by eating fish. Clearly, and that's the only way that you can get mercury poisoning.
I would think that with 51 crematories in the state of Minnesota, if there was a problem, we would be well aware of it by now.
I believe when a new product is available, because it is such a concern, and I think it's been a concern of a lot of people that have talked tonight, when that becomes available, they're going to jump on the chance to use it.
The University of Minnesota does have a product out there that's patented worldwide. However, the state of Minnesota does not require that to be used.
Because we're only talking about doing one cremation a week. Because there's nothing there.
I don't know if we can reinvent the industry for them here in Jordan. I think we should leave that to the professionals.
Because there's nothing there. 30% comes from like China. The only way that a pregnant woman can injure a fetus is by eating fish. Because there's nothing there. They're cremated at Lakewood, where we're doing it now. The mercury's still going into our air here in Jordan. Because there's nothing there. Because there's nothing there. Because there's nothing there.
Because there's nothing there.
Hey, Mark, can you come here a second? I just wanted to thank you for your presentation. I thought you were very thorough in all your answering the questions and everything, so.